Thanks for joining us. Ace investigative journalist Anas Anas has been serializing on his Facebook page details of his latest investigations into bribery scandal in the judiciary. His latest post with hashtag Stop Judicial Corruption provided an exhaustive detail of the case against Justice Ajit Nassam, taking bribes of up to 14,000 Ghana cedis through his agent, King Gabriel, who is a long-serving clerk attached to Financial Court 2. News editor Stephen Anti has been reading details of Anas's war this morning and joins me in the studio. Steve, what have you gathered so far? It's
unbelievable things that are coming out. I mean, to the point that Anas is detailing his meetings with Ajit Nassam through the court clerk, who is more like the intermediary. Now, he has video and audio evidence suggesting that they started negotiating. And this, I must say that Anas, in that post, cited that he used a particular case to start his investigation, and he used a case involving the Republic versus Frank Pemley, Richard Afari, Bernard Sala, Mohammed Sanusi, and money involved was like 16,000. Now, it's simple. These three were facing trial at the High Court for offences of stealing and conspiracy to steal, among others, and they were alleged to have stolen money from Tema Oil Refinery, and checkbooks, forged signatures, up to the tune of over 1 million Ghana cedis. So that's the background of the case Anas used. So Anas presented himself, the Tiger team, actually, we're not very sure whether it is Anas himself. He presented himself as the relative of one of these people, Bernard Sala. So that's how it all began. So he goes to court and meets, asks around who is more influential to be able to help their cause. So
who can they influence?
I know. So they were introduced to King Gabriel, who is the guy, court clerk, who comes, and seriously they started negotiation, and they kept going back and forth in meetings where he comes to say that, okay, Ajit Nassam has said he would take 20,000 in order to deal with the case and close it. So he sets the guy free. Actually, Bernard Sala has been set free, but what he doesn't know is the intricate detail that went into his release. So
they started at 20,000 and negotiated down
to about 15,000. Now the critical part, which is the funniest part, is that they go into a negotiation, and after they've agreed that the Tiger team was going to present 14,000, King Gabriel now comes to say, no, you know, trying to justify why they should give him some and then give the Tiger team also some and take 8,000 to Ajit Nassam. So he
cuts down what is for the judge so that he can also benefit.
So that he can benefit, actually. He was a key beneficiary, although there were evidence to suggest that he took what they call cola. That's the money they take before starting the process. He takes 200 cedis for that. And so eventually the whole detail, I mean, it's a lot. It's about 8 pages or so on the A4 sheet. So the funny aspect is where now they meet and money changes hands.
Hold on there, Steve. Just for our viewers, details is showing on the screen. Details of that conversation between the judge Ajit Nassam and Tiger Eye. Scrolling on our screen, there are also 2 pictures. One of a man in the military attire.
I think that's the same person. I think it's the King Gabriel. That's the King Gabriel guy who is the mediator with Ajit.
The facilitator. I want to call him.
Actually, facilitator. So the interesting bit is where they agreed to take the money, and they actually went to Ajit Nassam's office and presented the money, and he kept calling constantly because eventually they gave him 8,000 and he wanted 10,000. So they needed to arrange and get the balance of 2,000 to him. And so the Tiger team wanted really to be sure how desperate he was for the extra 2,000, and it was amazing. In a second or third or fourth meeting they had for them to change hands with the extra 2,000 balance, the team decided to give him 1,000 and see how he will respond. It was incredible. He came in his official vehicle and actually got out of the car to grab the 1,000.
And this is said to be somewhere in Medina.
Yes, Zongo Junction, thereabouts.
He got out of his official vehicle, went and snatched the money from them.
Exactly.
Wow.
You know, and the Tiger team has video and audio evidence. That's amazing. I mean, so
somewhere in this bulky document, the judge is believed to have said that I mean, in the negotiations, he was saying that these days you never know who is recording you, and he was being recorded.
He was conscious, and he kept saying it. And the Tiger team member, I don't know who it was, I mean, kept assuring him that no, as for me, I'm not like that. I've already told King Gabriel that I'm clean. You know, so it was like he knew that something was not right. And,
ironic.
And he just couldn't help himself. But 14,000 when you didn't do any work, and all you need to do is to set somebody free. It's very, very.
Steve, it's interesting the language that was used in all this communication for what is said to be this bribery and corruption. Yeah. You could tell the clerk referring to the judge as his father,
as the old man.
As the old man.
The clerk has a reputation. We're told that he's the man. I mean, if you need to influence a judge, he's the one you must look out for. So they have that relationship with him. So if you want to influence any big judge, not only Ajit Nassam, they all have a relationship with him, and that's the only way he can pass himself off as important to anyone. You know, because if you want to, well, if you're corrupt and you want your case thrown out of court and you trust that you have to see the judge, you don't just go with anybody. You must get the feeling that this person
must find a clerk who's the go-to person who will facilitate.
You know,
all
who's closer than just an inner person. This person is trying to tell you that he has a personal relationship with the guy and calls him father, old man. It's a shame, really.
Okay, and this is getting intriguing and interesting by the day. Steve, we'll keep an eye on his Facebook
wall. So we'll really keep an eye on Anas's Facebook wall, and we hope that it brings the other series. We are told that some aspects of the conversations are circulated on WhatsApp and other social media.
We'll be getting all those details. Thank you very much. That's news editor Steve Anti, and the hashtag is Stop Judicial Corruption. Meanwhile, the Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Mrs. Marietta Briwa-Piopong, has given investigative journalist Anas Arimea immunity from prosecution and any civil action for his latest investigation that uncovered massive corruption among judges. The grant of immunity to Anas is per Section 19 of the Whistleblowers Act, Act 720. This was revealed by legal practitioner Ace Ankuma in an interview with Joy News. According to Ace Ankuma, the Attorney General has affirmed the latest word by Anas and revealed that the judges from the lower courts in the scandal would appear before a disciplinary committee at the behest of the Chief Justice.
Few things are yet to come in, and I must say quickly that I really do appreciate the speed with which the government system and the authorities have acted. I have a fair idea when they received the petitions, and the speed with which they've acted. One of the first things they did was to issue an immunity and indemnity letter to Tiger Eye and Anas to say that under the Whistleblowers Act, he's absolutely protected, so that he is not liable to criminal prosecution for paying the bribes, and he's not liable to civil action as long as what he has put out is true.
But could somebody have initiated an action like that?
But for the Whistleblowers Act, some action could have been initiated because he bribed somebody. I mean, you can't deny the fact that he took part in the offense, but it was for the public good. And so this was important that that act was passed, and the government system has assured him that we are with you. And so I am very grateful for that as a Ghanaian. The Judicial Council has acted with such speed. It's amazing. After 2 days of meetings and after meeting Anas, people have been suspended. Hearings start tomorrow. My confidence in the system has been boosted. I hope that we see it to the end. Those who are innocent ought to be left alone. Those who are not ought to be dealt with. Let the chips fall where they may.
Are you surprised at some of the names that have come up?
Yes. Yes.
Which one surprises you most?
I can't repeat names. For now, we all presume not to know the names. But some of these are my friends. Some of these are classmates. Some of these are schoolmates. These are people I know very well. I can't be a very happy person right now. And some of these have appeared before. There are some I have cases pending before. And so hearing this and knowing what is probably coming out, it's a blow to my solar plexus, big blow. But it's a human institution. We all have our failures and failings. So maybe this is it might even have been a one-off, but it's on camera.
It's obvious that once these judges implicated in the latest Anas expose are suspended, there will be high possibility of cases, backlog cases, which were supposed to be heard. Joy News has been finding out what happens to these cases pending their respective courts and what will parties in the cases do. Private legal practitioner Samson Ladia Yenene has been providing some answers.
Fortunately, in the immediate period, we are on what we call legal vacation. The legal vacation begins in August and goes through to September. So we are back, the court resumes in October. Now, this applies only to those judges, 12 of them, who are coming from the High Court, because they are supposed to be on vacation. In the High Courts, presently, there are just a few courts, I think about just 12 of them, or less than that number, that have been designated as vacation courts, so that during the vacation, if you have a case, you can still go to court and it will be heard. But I believe that because we are on vacation, most of these judges, or almost all of them, would be on vacation. So in the immediate period, there's no problem. Where there will be an immediate problem is the circuit and district courts. They don't have a legal vacation. So as we speak, the circuit and district courts are working. So their courts, obviously, will be greatly affected now, because it may be the case that there are no judges there to take over their jobs in the meantime. But what I can be assured of is that for the High Court judges, for example, when courts resumes in October, other judges are likely to be given additional responsibility to oversee the courts of those judges that have been affected. It could also be the case that there may be one or two judges who are free and they will be assigned to completely take over some of those courts. But all the other judges who already have their own courts may be asked to do an extra job. So one judge may sit as a judge for Court A and still sit as a judge for Court F, which does not have a judge. They may decide that they will divide their hours of the day into two. So they split it. For the first hour, they will hear cases that pertain to their own courts. Then for the second hour, they will hear cases that pertain to the judge that they are, taking responsibility for. The district and circuit courts, that is where there's going to be a lot of difficulty.
Precisely, and how would that be?
To other stories now, a suspected arsenic fire has burnt dozens of structures in Old Fadama, close to the Onion Market in Accra. The fire, which started about 9 a.m., has caused destruction to some properties. Latif Idrisu has more.
Fire officers on the ground who so far have managed to put off the fire. Now, speaking to some of the residents, what they told me was that they've lost properties worth thousands of Ghana cedis. I must also say, Francisca, that this place around the Onion Market is on the refuse dump at the Onion Market. Their livelihood and everything is on the refuse dump. They are scavengers and scrap dealers, and that is where they live. They sleep there and they do their businesses there. Now, when I was speaking to the fire officer, he mentioned that this is not a place for human beings to stay. Now, some of the residents, upon hearing that, were very angry with the fire officer. So they quickly rushed to us and tried to explain why they live there. Their point is that this is where they live, they do their businesses there, and they are there as a result of the relocation by the Accra Metropolitan Assembly. They used to stay at Old Fadama, their buildings were demolished, and so they moved on to the Onion Market. That is where they've started a new life, essentially, Francisca.
Walk us through what exactly happened. I mean, you've been on the ground for some time now. What are you picking up?
Well, around 9 a.m. this morning, we were down in our office when we saw a thick smoke coming out, and so we're all debating what is that. Fortunately or unfortunately for us, 15 minutes later, a call came that there was a fire outbreak around Graphic Road near Royal Bank. So we have to set off, and when we got here, so unfortunately it was not the address that we had, that's the Royal Bank, but it is a fire on at Akubloshi Market, what we call Old Fadama. Old Fadama. Yes, when we got here, we noticed that it is a refuge dump, but people are living on it.
You're watching Joy News today with me, Francisca Kakwa-Force. And let me tell you about our top story. And indeed, it's about the corruption that was discovered in Ghana's judiciary by investigative journalist Anas Arimeyao Anas. We were on his Facebook page. We brought you details of a conversation he had with one of the judges, Judge Najet Assam, and also a court clerk. Stay with us. We'll bring you more after this break. Welcome back to Joy News today. The National Executive Committee of the incumbent National Democratic Congress (NDC) has extended the closing date for the filing of nomination for parliamentary aspirants in the Ashanti region. This, the party says, is to give ample time and equal chance to members of the NDC in the region to complete the process. Meanwhile, nominations in all other regions closes today, September 10. Malik Dabu of our political desk joined me earlier for analysis.
I'm sure we all know that Ashanti region is one of the largest regions in the country. They have the largest number of parliamentary seats. That means that a lot of work has to go in for people to be able to file their nominations. And you know that once nominations close and you are unable to file, also because Ashanti region tends to be one of the hotbeds for political activities.
But it's the stronghold of the NPP rather, so why bother?
Well, you know the NDC has a target of 1 million votes from Ashanti. Some of the constituencies, even though they are located in Ashanti, given the peculiarities of the nature of the people that live in those constituencies, you have the NDC winning those ones. Like Asawasi, for example, Alhaji Muntaka Mubarak's constituency, he's the majority chief whip, and that's his constituency. In the last primaries, he narrowly escaped. This time around, there's a lawyer who is challenging him. We had the Nur Hamidan is the DC for the area, the district in which the constituency falls, who went around telling people that he was the best candidate for the party and that they shouldn't endorse the forms for other contending candidates. That generated a lot of debates. One of the guys called me, he's a lawyer, and he said that he lost narrowly to Mutaka. He thought that this was his chance, and he felt that the party leaders are using Machiavellian tactics to try and disqualify him, because they are not even allowing party wards to endorse his forms to enable him file. So if people like that petition, the party may want to give a lot more time, and that may explain why today's extension came about.
Armed police personnel have been deployed to the Tamale Central Constituency Office to avert any possible disturbance as NDC closes nominations today. Regional correspondent Hashmin Mohammed joins me with details. Hello Hashmin, what's the situation in Tamale right now? Hello, Hashmin. Hashmin, tell us the situation in Tamale Central. We are learning that armed police personnel have been sent to Tamale Central NDC constituency office to avert any possible disturbance. We are trying to find out exactly what happened that led to this, and we are trying to reach our correspondent. We do not have him right now, but we'll move on to other stories and try him a bit later. The General Secretary of the National Democratic Congress says as the deadline for the submission of parliamentary nomination forms approaches, no functional executive committee of the National Democratic Congress (NDC) has the mandate to vary the filing fees as approved by the National Executive Committee. To this extent, any aspirant who is prevented from filing for the sole reason of inability to pay any additional fees beyond that which has been approved by NEC should approach the national headquarters for filing. Okay, Hashmin Mohammed, I'm told, has just joined us, and this is about armed police personnel being deployed to the Tamale Central Constituency Office. Hashmin, are you able to tell us why?
Well, I spoke to the constituency secretary of the party, Abu Hafiz, who tells me that they, as constituency executive, did not invite the police to the constituency office, but he wants to believe that the police were there to maintain law and order. If you have been following the terrain very well in the northern region, the Tamale Central Constituency is one of the hot areas that people attention are. And in this constituency, you have a director of feeder roads under the Ministry of Roads and Highways contesting his boss, that is the incumbent Alhaji Minister Hussein, who is the Minister for Roads and Highways. And here, these two candidates have the support base. They have the youth. So you can imagine, you can understand why the police were there.
So what's the situation right now, Hashmin?
Well, the situation at the moment is calm, and the candidate, Alhaji Ibrahim Seydou, and his supporters have left the constituency office, but some of the police continue to maintain their presence at the constituency office.
Hashmin Mohammed is reporting from the northern region. Thank you very much. We're staying with politics. Daughter of ex-President Jerry Rawlings, Dr. Ezenato Rawlings, is an NDC parliamentary aspirant for the Korle-Klottey constituency. She has already presented her forms. Now, we know her father, Jerry Rawlings, is founder of the ruling National Democratic Congress, and her mother, interestingly, is flag bearer of the National Democratic Party, which is a breakaway from the NDC. Kwachia Frenyama has been speaking to Dr. Ezenato Rawlings.
When your popularity is not one that's of ego, but based on your connection with the community, then you know the way you stand.
Your connection with the community, you feel you are in touch with the grassroots?
I think the crowd speaks for itself.
And of course, you'll be going up against the incumbent, one other candidate. It will be a very stiff competition.
Well, I have no doubt about that, but I think at the end of the day, the most important thing for me is that we work together and empower the community to rebuild their lives.
There was a time where you denied at all that you were going to participate in this contest. What changed?
Well, at the time, my denial was actually exactly what it was. I had no political ambitions. And as the cleaning campaigns and the environmental activism gained ground, the support on the ground was increased, and a lot more people started calling for, political involvement. And so that's how we find ourselves here. At the end of the day, it's really a question of conviction, and I believe that this is one way to achieve the objectives.
How long have you had about this ambition?
My decision was very recent, and up until now, all I wanted to do was contribute to the community.
Of course, this is a significant decision, knowing that your mother is in the NDP, you are in the NDC. Do you think that this could perhaps bridge the gap between bringing your mom back to the party?
So I would like to focus on the issues now going forward, which have to do with the development of the community.
Member of Parliament for Ningo Prampram, E.T. Mensah, has hit hard at George Samuel, who has announced his interest in contesting in the NDC parliamentary primaries. He's particularly unhappy some George is going about peddling what he describes as lies, that the people of Ningo Prampram are tired of him and have endorsed Mr. George as the change the constituency needs.
This boy knows how to run, he doesn't know how to hide. And nobody should deceive himself. He cannot win Ningo Prampram without my support. This boy has been putting on the Facebook and other places. I've got information that I'm not running. Even after I have tried, it's out there that I'm not running. He said, let it swim in his naivety and ignorance. Politics on the ground is not done in the media.
The last time I spoke with him, he said, the people of Ningo Prampram say he should thank you for a good job done, but now they want him. And even he said, the chief of Ningo Prampram. Have you in any way heard, these kind of discussions around?
It's not true. When I heard those things, I said, God should have mercy on this boy. God should have mercy on this boy. A hand that has fed you before, you want to bite it, you have to be careful. A hand that has raised you to where you are, and you think that you can mess around. And I am not sad for it, but the parents who knew. I didn't know them for Adam. His sister, when he was going to be engaged by the husband in Nigeria. Yes, let me say it. Here, we did it here. You can come out to tell you. We did it here. We did everything. Everything that I treated him like a son. And it is not, it doesn't lie in his mouth. Who is he in Ngo Pram Pram for them to send him to come? For them to send him to come and say thank you to me. What has he ever done there? Before I went to Ngo Pram Pram, before I became a member of parliament, I was serving the place. 1993, I didn't go to parliament. I went to parliament in the United States. In 93, the work that I did to 95. That was why.
Meanwhile, E.T. Mensah has described George Sam's comments that he has stayed too long in power and that he must be replaced as childish.
He uses the local adage that says, in future or which literally means when water stays too long in a bottle, it begins to smell. So I'm tempted to believe that he's trying to say that you've stayed there too long, and so
longer than anybody else.
They want a new person. But is that what it takes? What does it take to be a parliamentarian?
First of all, it doesn't lie in his mouth, the character that he is, to tell me that I'm tired. The thing about water stay in bottle for a long is childish. Because we are talking about politics. Books here, you've seen them, political, you're talking about politics and people's biographies, autobiographies. Ted Kennedy left Congress after 47 solid years in Congress. Those, some 20, some 30, I went to AP, International Parliamentary Union meeting in Vietnam. Those who have done yet to do 20 years were babies. Who have done 30 years, 40 years. So it means that he doesn't even understand what he's going for. That proverb is childish. It doesn't hold water. Because, I mean, if you want to use bottles and bottles, when cognac stays, is the best when it stays very long in the bottle. Good whiskey stays long. Good wine, and those who, if you want to use bottles.
Okay, so let's now get the latest updates in business. The Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research, ISA, has painted a bleak future for the economy. At the launch of its 2014 report on the state of the Ghanaian economy, ISA expressed worry over the government's high appetite for borrowing amidst the fluctuating cedi.
For 2015 remains bleak, with inflation and interest rates likely to rise. Now, the external sector. The continuous fall in commodity prices on the international market, especially for gold and crude oil, will continue to pose risks to Ghana's economic recovery agenda. The cedi still trades weakly against its major trading currency as demand continues to outweigh supply sources. Declining oil and commodity prices and the large trade and fiscal deficits will continue to drive exchange rate depreciation in Ghana. Escalating debt burden and continued currency depreciation could lead to a rapid increase in the value of foreign currency denominated debt beyond sustainable levels.
The report also looked at the expected power barges, describing it as a drop in the ocean and not a solution to the country's energy situation.
We are expecting power barges, which is fine. But what I'm saying is that these are temporary measures. What are the permanent? And that is all. We don't need to wait for the crisis for us to plan. That is why we have a strategy. Did we go by the strategy? If we went by the strategy, we shouldn't be in crisis today. we are trying to address the crisis, and that is why budgets and other things are coming. That is fine. But for the long term, are we addressing the long-term issue? Population is growing. We know population, the demand for energy, there's a relationship. Are we planning it? That is all my eyes. So budget is fine. It will come. Tomorrow we'll get an. So then what next? Businesses have collapsed. Are we going to bring the businesses back? There's been unemployment as a result of the energy crisis. How are we going to get them back? Those are the issues. We are not saying the infrastructure is not good. It is good. But we need to plan long-term.
Chief Executive Officer of the Private Enterprise Federation, Nana Osebunsu, tells Joy Business the power badges may help relieve pressure on businesses by some margin, but questioned when exactly the badges would come in.
Well, little drops of water makes a mighty ocean, so a little bit contributes better than nothing. So I don't know the volumes that the power badges are going to produce. It can create an opportunity for sectors that are really suffering from the lack of power. So to me, it's a welcome opportunity for it to come. But let it get here. That's the point. I mean, it's coming, never arrives. From April to September to October, let's make sure that this time it arrives so that the private sector businesses or whichever sector the badges are going to supply the electricity will benefit from the output that they will generate.
Port also looked at the country's increasing inflation rate, describing it as the highest in the sub-Saharan Africa.
Well, inflation rate for August 2015 has dropped to 17.3% from the 17.9% recorded in July. The 6 percentage points drop, which could be described as very significant, is attributed to the marginal appreciation in the value of the cedi during the month under review. The Ashanti region recorded the highest rate of 18.9%, whereas the northern region recorded the lowest, 13.8%. Philomena Nyako is government statistician.
The inflation rate for August 2015 had dropped to 17.3% from the 17.9% recorded in July 2015. The non-food inflation rate, 23.4%, was more than 3 times the food inflation rate, 7.7%. The inflation rate for imported items was 18.1% in August 2015, compared with 21.2% recorded in July 2015. The inflation rate for locally produced items was 17% in August 2015, same as the rate recorded in July 2015. 3 regions, Ashanti, Greater Accra and Central, recorded inflation rates higher than the national average of 17.3%. Upper West region recorded the same inflation rate as the national average of 17.3%.
We had a decline in the inflation rate for the non-food group. It dropped by 1.1 percentage points. I don't have any explanations for that, but all we know is that the inflation rate for food went up and the inflation rate for aged commodity groups also went up. So as we said earlier, we are talking about education, transport, housing, utilities, clothing, footwear, and furnishings, household equipment, and so on. So those went up, but I don't have any.
The Bank of Ghana has concluded its first round of meetings to assess the health of the economy. The meeting, which was concluded on Monday, is one of the 2 meetings that the central bank will hold before deciding on the new policy rate. That decision is likely to influence lending rates and the loan that you are currently servicing. George Rafe has more.
The change in the central bank's meeting days have been influenced by some recommendations from the IMF for more scrutiny on economic data and more time to deliberate on issues relating to the economy. The change will allow committee members about 3 days of personal assessment of figures given to them at the affairs gathering before they return for the final meeting on Friday. Already, there are predictions that the policy rate, which currently stands at 24% after the Bank of Ghana decided to merge it with its reverse repo rate last month, will be maintained. However, with the IMF's push for further increases in the policy rate to prevent inflation rate from increasing further, maybe the central bank might bow to pressure and increase the rate again, a development that could worsen the current credit squeeze on the market, which has come about because of some measures from the central bank to help stabilize the Ghana cedi and delays by some borrowers to pay back their loans to commercial banks on time. Many will also be looking forward to see what the Bank of Ghana will put out when it comes to the country's public debt, which stood at about 90 billion Ghana cedis as of June this year.
And that's it for business. Baba Tando is up next with sports.
Good afternoon, I am Baba Tando. Let's talk sports right here, right now. Now, the Black Queens of Ghana will begin their campaign today with a game against South Africa at the Kintele Stadium. The Queens had the opportunity to see the South Africans in their last opening game against Cameroon, which they drew goalless. Head coach Yusuf Basigi is hoping to capitalize on that.
We watched the South Africans against the Cameroonians. At least we've gotten a fair idea of the two teams, especially South Africa, who are our first opponents that we are going to meet. So I think that it has even geared the girls up, and you can see that they've lifted up their game as compared to the time that we came.
And skipper of the Black Queens, Mercy Miles, who has played at African Women's Championship and Junior World Cups, tells Joy Sports that the All Africa Games football competition is as important as all the other competitions she has participated in.
Well, it's All African Games, but then the component is very rich, so it's more or less like those other competitions that you mentioned. That makes the difference.
For us in our group, we are playing just 2 matches because Egypt pulled out. First game is against South Africa on Thursday. How ready are you guys?
Very ready. We went to watch the South African game against the Cameroonians, and this tells it all. I was first. We just have to go in, play all out, and then with hard work and determination, of course, with the Lord God on our side, when we have our 3 points, we are secured. Okay.
Let's now get on to the phone with our All Africa Games correspondent from Brazzaville, Benedict Also. Hello, Benedict. Good afternoon to you.
Yes, good afternoon.
Okay, so first let's start with the Black Queens. Tell me, do we have any idea who will be starting for Ghana? Hello, Benedict. Hello, Benedict. Okay, do we have any idea who will be starting for Ghana in the Black Queens?
Has not yet named starting 11, but I remember very well speaking to my last film session in the former lineup.
Okay, Benedict, it's a bit difficult hearing you. If you can reposition yourself strategically, so I can come back to you. And whilst we wait for that, Australia's women's tour of the United States has been scrapped because of a dispute over pay and conditions. The Matildas want their annual 21,000 Australian dollars. That's about 9,634 salary, 34 pound salary, increased to 40,000 Australian dollars. That's about 18,339 pounds. That's about twice what they receive now. Now, the move is part of a dispute over pay and conditions for the women's and men's football game. Football Federation Australia, FFA, said the union representing the players had more extraordinary demands, which meant the tour could not take place. More than 60,000 tickets had been sold for the 2 matches against world champions, the USA, in Detroit and Birmingham, Alabama, on 17th and 20th of October. The tour had been in doubt when the squad pulled out of a training camp. Australia goalkeeper Lydia Williams stated that the decision to withdraw had been extremely difficult but necessary to make the FFA take their claims seriously. All right, so we're still trying our lines to get through to our games correspondent, Benedict Owusu Dankwa, who is monitoring events in Brazzaville, Congo. where the All Africa Games is happening. Just by way of an update, is that the Black Queens are going to play South Africa this afternoon in their first group game. Hello, Benedict. If you can hear me now, how does the starting 11 for the Black Queens look like?
And have a Shalimo play in a class. Because it's a normal starting 11, but he's yet to release his first 11 for the game.
Okay, now you've been monitoring swimming and volleyball for today. What's been going on?
Yes, for swimming, that was 10 a.m. Congo time. It's still the same old story. Up and down, always failing. They didn't qualify out of their heat. The first which we have to be out in the like, two of our girls went and all they didn't go well. They were 26 and 7 respectively. So for swimming, they are left to the last. Obviously, it doesn't look good. For volleyball, the men, the black fighters, and the male team are still doing very well. It's the station by 3 goals. The male team is in the first.
All right, so still struggling with the phone lines a little bit, but just to summarize what Benedict said, the Black Queens are playing against South Africa this afternoon, yes indeed, and we'll bring you the starting 11 in our subsequent bulletins. But then he went to the swimming and volleyball event centers. Swimming, nothing good to write home about because we placed 6th and 7th out of 7 swimmers. And then for volleyball, the male spikers, they have beaten Seychelles by 3-0. So some good news for the male black spikers, but their female counterparts, well, not too good news to report on them. And just before I take leave of you, by way of an update from the US Open, today in the women's singles semi-final, it is American Serena Williams up against Roberta Vinci, and then we also have Simona Halep, who beat Victoria Azarenka, taking on Flavia Pennetta of Italy. That does it for sports. Good afternoon.
Welcome back. It's time now for entertainment. I'm joined in the studio by guess who? Miss G.
Francisca.
Welcome, Miss G.
Oh, thank you.
Your first time on Join You today?
No.
Okay. I hope that we have fun. Well, it's your first time with me.
Sure, that's
yes,
the
and
thing.
I'm so glad to have you.
And look at where our hairs are looking.
I love your hair, by the way.
You don't need...
But let's stop here. Let's stop here. Let's go to the news. Now, I know you're going to talk about body enhancers.
Are you wearing one?
No. Do I need body enhancers?
Definitely do not
I thought
need
I was
one. You're so cute. You don't need one. But let's go to our very first story. And you're talking about body enhancers. Gift Yosei has been trending. Why? Because the cameras at the music ball caught her in wearing something that everybody believes to be a bad pad. Now, we went on the street to find out from people, why would anybody want to enhance their body? And also to find out from the men if they really get fascinated by women who wear enhancers.
So earlier this week, we've seen pictures all over the internet of gospel songstress Gift Yosei, who allegedly wore something to enhance her backside. Well, we thought to find out from people, why would anybody want to wear anything extra to enhance either their boobs or their backside?
You have to feel natural, you see. So it's not good to wear something like that.
God have given it to you, take it like that. The extra one, if you look artificial and you just, next time somebody look at you and it's not like that, it's something different.
As a woman or as a lady, you need to have your natural look, you know. Sometimes when you put on these things to attract the men, okay, or to get the shape, when you enter the bedroom with a man, this not the natural shape the man is going to see. When you're in the bedroom there, you are going to off yourself, you are going to take everything out, and then the man will see the real person of you.
It's not good. It's not advisable to use it.
And also we thought to find out from the men if they love women who actually will want to enhance any parts of their body just for them.
Yeah, they are attractive, but going for them is it's like carrying a problem onto your head. That's how I say it.
If you see it and you think it's all manly, all big, and you enter and see that it's nothing, not what you saw, how will you feel? It's like you cheating me.
I'd never like a woman who wears things like that, because when we get indoors, it's a different atmosphere altogether. But in fact, if she's in the media or in the fashion world, it's okay. That's all right with it.
All right, I guess I'll be pardoned if I decide to wear a body enhancer, so says the gentleman in the box. But Sam Smith has confirmed that he is the brain behind the theme song for the next James Bond film, Spectre. In an interview with BBC, he revealed why he initially told the BBC he wasn't working on the project and added the project was his easiest yet. So, Sarkodie is still on his Merry album tour. Yesterday, he passed by the studios of Hits 103.9, and he's been talking about 3 of his favorite celebrities who are females. Guess who he called? He mentioned Yvonne Okoro, then he mentioned Bella Mundi, then Peace Hyde. These are his 3 favorite female celebrities in Ghana. Did you know that? All right, Francisca.
Did he tell us why?
Well, you don't want to know why. I'll bring you all the details in the evening. Yes, because he's been speaking about some other things, you know, about his Merry tour and a lot of other things. He actually prepared Jollof on radio.
Oh my goodness.
You don't want to miss out on that. I'll bring you all that in the News Prime.
You don't want to miss out on the News Prime. Thank you very much, Miss G, for bringing us entertainment news. Coming up next is international news.